Have you ever watched someone walk through a crowded room and thought, she knows exactly who she is? Not in a showy way, not in a way that demands anything from you, but in a way that's so grounded and so certain that your eyes just follow her. That is the Jane Fonda effect. And what fascinates me is that it is only deepened with time. At 88 years old, this woman is making bolder and more deliberate style choices than women decades younger. And the reason none of it feels forced is because she isn't performing. She's simply wearing what matches the woman she's become, and she doesn't soften it for anyone. Today, I'm unpacking the specific style principles behind what Jane Fonda does so well. And these are things every one of us can use starting tomorrow. And when we get to number 5, I think it's going to challenge something you've quietly believed about yourself for a long time. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Parker Holloway, and today we are looking at a woman who is honestly proving that style has no expiration date, Jane Fonda. What she's been doing in her late 80s is nothing short of extraordinary, and there's so much we can learn from her. So let's dive in. Number 1 is her unapologetic relationship with bold color. This is one of those areas where I see so many women gradually retreating as the years go by, and I say that without judgment because I've felt that pull myself. There's this invisible rule that whispers, once you pass a certain milestone, stick to the safe tones, reach for the neutrals, let the younger women have the bright colors. It's never said out loud, but we absorb it anyway. Jane Fonda has completely ignored that rule. She steps out in reds that stop you mid-sentence. She chooses saturated jewel tones and rich, vivid shades that most of us would convince ourselves are too much. But here's what makes it work. It's not about being Jane Fonda the icon. It works because there's intention behind every choice. She's not wearing color for shock value. She's choosing a hue that aligns with her presence that day, and she wears it without hesitation. What I find encouraging is that it's genuinely one of the simplest changes you can make. You don't need to reinvent anything, just find one piece in a color that makes your heart beat a little faster when you see it on. A rich red blazer, or a deep blue wrap, or even a pair of striking green earrings. One deliberate choice is all it takes. And stay with me, because when we get to what she understands about proportion, it's going to change the way you look at every outfit you own. Number 2 is the way she prioritizes structure and tailoring above almost everything else. I feel really strongly about this because I think it's the dividing line between women who look polished and women who look like they're still figuring it out. And it has absolutely zero to do with what anything costs. Jane Fonda knows that how something fits matters more than what it is. What she consistently reaches for are pieces with sharp, intentional lines that give her frame clarity and shape. She's not burying herself in oversized layers, and I know how tempting that is because I've done it myself. When your body starts to feel unfamiliar, the easiest response is to hide it under something big and forgiving. But what Jane keeps showing us is that a coat with a defined shoulder or a jacket with a clean, structured line does infinitely more for you than anything oversized ever will. It's not about squeezing into something uncomfortable. It's about choosing clothes that recognize your shape and support it. If you've been living in loose everything for a while, I'd lovingly nudge you to try one structured piece this week, a fitted blazer or a tailored coat. I genuinely believe you'll look in the mirror and see someone you haven't seen in a while. Number 3 is her willingness to let one piece make a statement. This is where Jane Fonda really pulls away from what most women are doing. The older we get, the more most of us shrink our choices down to what's familiar and predictable, and I understand that comfort completely. Blending in requires no courage and no risk. But Jane has chosen the exact opposite path. She'll show up in a dramatic coat or a silhouette nobody expected, or an accessory that has genuine presence. And she manages to do it without tipping into trying too hard, which is really the art of it. What's interesting is that a statement piece doesn't have to mean anything extreme. It's just one part of your outfit that has something to say. Maybe it's an architectural pair of glasses, or a coat in a texture that surprises people, or one piece of jewelry that holds the room. The brilliance of what Jane does is she gives that single piece all the spotlight and dials everything else way back. That's the entire equation. Most women either mute every choice or pile too many competing statements into one outfit. Jane chooses one anchor and lets it stand on its own. I come back to this principle over and over, and honestly, it's reshaped the way I think about getting dressed entirely. Now, everything we've talked about so far, a thoughtful woman with good taste could eventually piece together on her own. But what's coming next is different. Rules 4 and 5 are the ones Jane Fonda spent a lifetime learning, and they're the reason her style actually gets more compelling with every passing year. These lessons run deeper than anything you can hang on a rack. Number 4 is her instinct for proportion, and this is the one I hinted at earlier that I really want you to pay attention to. Jane Fonda has an extraordinary feel for how proportions play off each other on the body. She understands almost intuitively that the way a jacket length relates to a trouser width, or how a high neckline can anchor a fuller leg, creates a kind of visual balance that reads as effortlessly elegant, even if you'd struggle to explain exactly why. Most of us don't think about proportion at all when we get dressed. We reach for things we like separately and put them on together and hope the combination works. But Jane approaches it more like an artist composing a frame. She's weighing how the pieces interact with each other, not just how each one looks in isolation. And here's the beautiful thing. This is a skill you can absolutely develop. Next time you're standing in front of your closet, consider the balance between your top and bottom half. If you're wearing something relaxed below, try something with a little more shape above. If you've chosen a structured jacket, soften what goes underneath. It's about letting the pieces have a relationship with one another. The moment this starts to click, and it will, you'll begin to see it in everything, and that's when your entire approach to dressing yourself transforms. I honestly think this is the most underappreciated style tool available to women our age. And finally, number 5, and this is the one that truly sits at the center of all of it. Jane Fonda gets dressed like a woman who has looked at herself and decided, yes, I deserve to take up space in this world. That sounds simple, but just pause and think about what that means coming from a woman who is 88 years old. There's a message that our culture delivers to women, slowly and steadily, that once you reach a certain age, you should start pulling back, make yourself smaller, quieter, less noticeable. And without even recognizing the moment it begins, many of us start obeying. We gravitate toward the subdued palette. We stick with the predictable shapes. We dress to recede rather than to arrive, because somewhere along the line we accepted that visibility is something we've aged out of. Jane Fonda has flatly refused. Every single thing she wears says, I am right here and I have every right to be. And that's not about spectacle or drawing attention for its own sake. It's a deep, settled conviction that says my presence matters, and the way I show up reflects that. This is the lesson that transcends everything we've talked about today. It moves past color and structure and proportion into something more fundamental. It's about allowing yourself to be fully visible. It's about getting dressed each morning for the woman you actually are today, not some younger ghost of yourself and not some smaller, quieter version the world would find more convenient. I think this is exactly why so many women feel something when they see Jane Fonda. The clothes are almost beside the point. It's the posture underneath. It's the unwavering decision to remain visible. And every woman watching this right now has that exact same choice available to her. That woman who walks into a space and something in the atmosphere changes before she opens her mouth, she doesn't own anything you couldn't own. She just decided at some point that she was fully worth being seen, and she has never revisited that decision. So here's what I want to leave you with. Tomorrow, when you're getting dressed, reach for one thing, just one, that says, "I'm not shrinking and I'm not done." It doesn't have to shout, it just has to be chosen with purpose. And if this video spoke to you, next week is going to be something really special, because we're looking at a woman who takes the complete opposite approach to Jane. Minimal, restrained, almost whispering with her style, and yet the impact is every bit as extraordinary. All right, everyone, that is all I have for Jane Fonda's remarkable, bold style after 80. I hope you found this video helpful and maybe even a little inspiring. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I want to hear from you in the comments. If you could only make one fearless style move this week, what would it be? Tell me, because I read every single comment and I love hearing from all of you. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at the link in the description. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.